I officially want to welcome you to the Corporate College webinar series, Live with the Experts. My name is Geraldine Weiser, and I'm the Director of Business Development here at Corporate College. And we really look forward to providing you really valuable and relevant information, things that you can use today, information, tools, tips, tricks, and topics that really support you and set you up for success. Adjusting to this new norm seems to be a daily occurrence now, and everyone is shifting to this new reality of remote working, remote learning, and living. But here at Tri-C, we're committed to serving you during this time of rapid change and provide you actionable resources to help you, to help your team succeed and thrive during these times, wherever you're currently working, whether you're still at the work site or working remotely. Our webinar series is really just one of the newest resources that Corporate College has provided to support the workforce to overcome challenges, but also achieve personal and business goals. The series is comprised of 4 topics, 4 main themes. The one today is on additional and better ways to work remotely. We have other topics that focus on virtual leadership, navigating a transition, and also personal health and well-being. And we couldn't do it without our fantastic facilitator and subject matter experts, our wonderful bench here at Corporate College. Today, I am so pleased to present to you our facilitation specialist and expert presenter, Kevin Hudson. Kevin is really a results-oriented sales executive with more than 25 years of distinguished track record of success in sales, sales training, sales management, and corporate account management, and really has worked his way up from a sales representative to VP of sales for organizations such as ADP, PeopleSoft, Staples, and CPI HR, and Alera Group Company. Overall, Kevin has a track record of consistently exceeding sales quotas during his career, which is why we've asked him to be here today with you. And currently, Kevin is the founder and president of Keelan Management Group. And honestly, we couldn't be more thrilled to have Kevin on our Corporate College team. And I can tell you personally that I steal tips and tricks from Kevin all the time. Right, Kevin?
Yes.
Welcome, and I'm so glad that you can be with us this morning.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here alongside Jerry and Corporate College. Really appreciative of the relationship and the partnership that we have developed. They have just done such a wonderful job of being a fantastic resource for companies within Northeast Ohio and around the world to really help companies strengthen talent management, professional development, and it's a privilege to be on the bench. It's a privilege to be a facilitator as part of this wonderful organization. Well, listen, I'm so excited today to talk with you about one of my most favorite subjects and maximizing selling through LinkedIn and maximizing social selling. Wow, how relevant is this topic today, given that we are in this virtual environment? This makes so much sense now that people all over the world are now trying to figure out, how do we sell in this virtual environment? Well, I'm so happy today to go through this presentation because we're going to definitely arm you with some tools and some knowledge and some education as to how to do this effectively throughout your organization and for your sales reps. So let's jump into it. Listen, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So I'm going to have Jerry monitor the chat box. Listen, I'm going to be asking you questions throughout the presentation today. And if you have questions as we go throughout, please log your question into the chat box. Jerry is going to monitor that. And Jerry, I'm asking you, when you get a couple questions, feel free to to pause, jump right into, and maybe ask a question or two that I can maybe respond back to the group. So feel free to do that as we move forward throughout the presentation. Listen, right now in the chat box, I'd love to know what type of sales reps may be on the call. Maybe put in your chat box what company you work for, and or maybe what type of industry that you sell in, or what do you sell. It'd be great just to kind of hear and to see the audience that may be out there today. So let me jump right into the agenda and what we're looking to achieve today. We're going to talk about a paradigm shift in prospecting for new customers. And that paradigm shift really talks about now many clients that I'm talking to, and many sales reps are saying we're so used to knocking on doors or meeting with customers face to face, and now everything has shifted to WebEx or Zoom or how to sell virtually. So we're going to talk about that paradigm shift in prospecting to try to bring on new customers. We're going to talk about what is LinkedIn. Some of you may be more familiar with LinkedIn than others. And we're going to talk about also why social selling. And when we say social selling, we're talking about how to sell more virtually and how to leverage various social selling and social media technologies to get new customers. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the return on investment, the ROI for social selling. But we're also going to arm you today with the process for getting started, meaning that we're not going to just talk at a high level about social selling, but we're going to go through some steps that are actionable that you can take after this call and implement today. So I'm so excited to go through these steps with you. And then we're going to also talk about building your network. And then we're going to do a summary. So excited to get into the data. Let's get into the course objectives. Throughout this brief presentation today, it is our goal that you're going to walk away with a better understanding of social selling. You're going to walk away with some tips to building your network, how to leverage your network to build your target list and to find buyers. We're going to talk about how to help others grow their business. We're going to talk about the importance of having a presence on LinkedIn and what that means. We're going to talk about becoming a thought leader in your particular field. So whatever industry you're in, or whatever services or products that you're selling, man, how can I become a thought leader in that field? We're going to talk about that today as well. We're going to talk about how to increase referrals. We know if those of you that are involved in sales, you're trying to grow your business, there is nothing like a referral, right? So we're going to talk about how to do that today. How can you become more efficient at growing your business? Whether you are a sales rep on the call, or maybe you're a small business owner and you're responsible for growing your business. Everyone is looking to do that. But we're all tasked with having so many hats to wear. We have so many things to do. And so how can we be efficient at growing our business, but find time to do other things? We'll talk about that. And lastly, we want you to walk away with how to shorten the sales cycle. So buckle your seat, get ready. We're going to give you some data today that you'll walk away with many of these objectives. So we'll jump right into it. So first, go ahead, Jerry.
Real quick, Kevin. No, before you jump into that, because I think this would be a good way to kind of segue in, especially with the information. Just kind of looking back at some of the people who have been noting kind of the industries or the areas that they're selling into. Some are doing hotel sales. So I imagine they're not only selling rooms, selling beds, so to speak, into individuals, but also I'm sure large conference groups, access hardware and more inside sales with them.
Okay. I saw consulting.
Yes, consulting.
Some consulting sale. That's great.
Be a lot of also, because some people here, small businesses, some people currently looking to make a career transition. So they also want to know maybe how to use LinkedIn for that. People in IT services, other professional business services as well.
That's great. Jerry, thank you so much for for sharing that. Man, we're so thankful that you've joined us this morning, and we think that we'll be able to share some information with you today. Whether you are someone who is you're unemployed and you're looking to get out in the field and to be able to see, man, how can I use LinkedIn to connect and to find an opportunity? I think you'll definitely be able to experience just the power of LinkedIn today. Whether you're consulting or hardware, no matter which industry you're in, we all have a few things in common, which is how can we grow our business? How can we sell more deals? How can we leverage relationships? How can we increase referrals? How can we gain new customers? How can we shorten the cycle? How can we be more efficient? There's a few things that no matter which industry you're in, that we're all trying to do that. And you will definitely experience a lot of that today as we go through the presentation. In terms of the paradigm shift, when I say social selling, there are two books that really help people deal with change. Obviously, many of you are probably familiar with Who Moved My Cheese, which is just a book on change. And also there's another book called Our Iceberg is Melting. And what these two books really speak to is how we have to adjust and we have to change and be open to that. So there's this paradigm shift now that it has been happening for a long time, but it's really happening even more today, which is this whole concept of social selling, where sales reps today are saying, man, Kevin, everything I'm doing is through Zoom or through WebEx or through GoToMeeting. It's all virtual, it's all video, and it's very different. Their paradigm is shifting. They're not meeting on site. And so there's this paradigm shift that we're asking many sales reps to embrace. Also, many sales reps are used to just picking up the phone and dialing for dollars, dialing away and cold calling. Many sales reps are still used to just knocking on doors. And this paradigm shift is saying that you can gain more customers, you can shorten the sales cycle by leveraging social selling, by leveraging the power of LinkedIn, and by leveraging your relationships to grow your business. And so that's what we're going to get into today. And that's what the change will be, especially those of you who may say, man, I haven't necessarily used LinkedIn to grow my business. I'm on LinkedIn, I have a profile, but I haven't necessarily used it to grow my business. So that's what the paradigm shift is going to be. So let's get into it. What is LinkedIn? I'd love to hear from the chat box. Some of you maybe want to share how have you used LinkedIn? Love to hear some of your comments, whether you're using a little or using a lot. Love to hear how you're using it. But for those of you who say, you know what, I haven't used LinkedIn a whole lot to grow my business. Listen, LinkedIn's been around for a long time, and it is the world's largest professional network. It is like the Facebook of business. It is where people today keep all of their track history of their career. Is where they connect with other business professionals. It is where people find jobs, find employment. LinkedIn has been the go-to for connecting with others all over the world, for finding buyers, for finding influence centers who can help you to get you in the door or to refer you to someone else. So LinkedIn is a powerful tool. And I'll be honest, most people use LinkedIn as kind of an electronic resume. Well, let me just update my work history. But many don't know there is so many other ways to use LinkedIn, which is to grow your business, which is what we're here today to talk about. So let's talk about social selling versus traditional selling. When you look at traditional cold calling results, the stats say that it's about a 1% to 3% conversion rate for getting an appointment. I think many of you who have tried cold calling, where you're picking up the phone or you're sending an email to a prospective buyer that you don't even know. They don't know you, you don't know them. Many of us who have been in sales know that is very difficult. and it's challenging. And the effectiveness of it says there's only a 1 to 3% conversion rate to getting an appointment. So it's pretty low. But when that same call or email is made with a referral or a mutual connection, that rate jumps up to 30%. So you can just look on the screen where it says some of the stats say 90% of decision makers say they never respond to cold outreach. And when you look at some of the various traditional selling versus social selling, oh, and thanks so many of you. I'm seeing your comments in terms of how you're using LinkedIn. Thank you so much for using the chat box. But when you look at traditional selling versus social selling, you can see traditional selling is lead list. Oftentimes you're blocked by gatekeepers. You're relying on cold calling. But in terms of the social selling, you can see is utilizing your professional network, is targeting key decision makers, is leveraging warm introductions. That is the biggest difference between social versus traditional selling, is that, and we're going to get into the details of how to do more of that throughout this presentation. So let's talk about the ROI. And when we say ROI, that's a return on investment. And the investment is your time. So when you are making calls to try to get an appointment with a prospective buyer, to learn about their business and tell them about your services, well, that takes an investment of your time. And some people that's making 25 or 50 calls a day, 500 calls a week, 300 calls a week, hundreds of emails. That's the investment of time. Well, the ROI says, well, what's the return on that investment of time? So let's look at some of that. So you see the example here on the screen where it says cold calling. So based on that 1 to 3% conversion rate, if someone wanted to secure 10 appointments with a prospective buyer, with someone that you're looking to sell your services to, that means you're going to need to make about 500 cold calls to get 10 appointments, right? If you do the math, that 1 to 3% conversion rate, 500 calls. So 1 to 3% conversion rate on 500 is about 10 appointments. So if you look at that, if you think about 50 calls a day, cold calls, and it takes about, let's say, 4 hours to complete that, it would take someone 10 days or 40 hours to achieve 500 calls, cold calls, right? Just to secure 10 appointments. Well, let's look at social selling. Well, with social selling, based on a 20% conversion rate, when you are leveraging a mutual connection, and leveraging a mutual connection means this, that I reach out to a prospective buyer and I leverage a mutual connection that we have on LinkedIn. So if I know someone and a prospective buyer is connected to that same person on LinkedIn, then I can try to use that mutual connection to get an appointment with that prospective buyer. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the presentation. But when I leverage a mutual connection, then that's about a 20% conversion rate. So if you look at the math of that, that means for me to get 10 appointments, that's 50 emails, right? So, and that's probably about 8 hours to complete, including research. So you can just see, even with social selling, even if I reach out to John Smith at XYZ company, I don't know John Smith. Well, let's say John Smith and I both know Jerry. Then I'm going to reach out to John Smith and I'm going to reference a mutual connection that we have with Jerry as a way for John Smith to allow me a few minutes of his time to talk with him about our services. That's leveraging a mutual connection. And oftentimes that has a higher conversion rate of getting an appointment because there's a familiarity with the person that I'm referencing that we both may know. Now let's talk about social selling with personal introductions. Personal introductions is where someone that you know introduces you to someone that you want to meet. So let's say, for instance, that someone wanted to meet Jerry. Obviously, I have a good relationship with Jerry. And so so I send Jerry an email to introduce Jerry to someone that wants to meet her. That's a personal introduction. That is the most powerful way of leveraging social selling is to get a personal introduction into a prospect that you're trying to reach. That's powerful. Well, when you think about that, that's about a 50% conversion rate, meaning that when someone introduces you to a prospect that you're trying to reach, that appointment rate goes up dramatically. So you think about to get 10 appointments with a 50% conversion rate, that's only 20 emails, which is about 3 hours to complete. So as you can see, when you look at social selling versus cold calling, you can see 40 hours versus 8 hours versus 3 hours. There's a significant difference. Trying to get the same number of appointments, but it takes a whole lot less time when you're doing social selling and you're leveraging LinkedIn and leveraging other relationships. So feel free to reach in the chat box. If you have questions throughout, feel free to, and Jerry will monitor that and she'll, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that what you shared is so powerful, that relationship and how to leverage those connections. But I have a question from one of our attendees asking, what if Kevin, you don't have a mutual or a personal connection with that business or company? What do you recommend at that point?
That's a great question. I think obviously when you don't have that, then obviously that reach out to that prospect, it feels a bit more cold because you don't know them. They don't know you. And the goal is to try to find some type of connection through LinkedIn. But sometimes even on LinkedIn, you don't have a connection. So you can still reach out to that person that you're trying to reach out to, but maybe you leverage maybe something on their website that connects with them. So let's say, for instance, that I don't know Jerry, and Jerry works for corporate college, and I want to meet Jerry. So I may reach out and do some research and go on corporate college site, maybe find some recent news, maybe some good news, some announcement, and I may attach that news, and then I may send Jerry an email with that news and make a comment about it. Whether it's wow, I saw that Tri-C is offering tuition assistance. So let's say, for instance, I saw that on the news, which I did. I may use that article as a way to reach out to Jerry and saying something positive as kind of a lead in. Or I may go on Jerry's site. Let's say Jerry's on LinkedIn. And oftentimes you'll see that people will post blogs and articles and they'll make comments on their own LinkedIn. So you'll find that a lot on LinkedIn. People post a lot of blogs. So let's say that I'll go on Jerry's LinkedIn, and even though I don't know Jerry, but let's say that I go through her postings and I see maybe some article or some post that I really like that she posted. I may then take that post and use that post as an opportunity to reach out to Jerry. Let's say Jerry wrote on something about virtual selling or something on education. I may take that blog or post and put something in the subject line of great post on education or great post on virtual. So now she recognizes something that she may have done. Oh, she may be more apt to open that email because now she recognized something that she did herself. And then maybe in that email, I may say, hey, Jerry, my name is Kevin. I'm with XYZ company. Love an opportunity to meet you. Really enjoyed reading your article on LinkedIn. So even though it's cold, I was able to maybe make that a bit more warmer by referencing something that maybe she had written or something that's connected to her organization. So it doesn't guarantee that you'll get an appointment, but whenever there's cold, those are various ways that you can make something warm by referencing something, typically their employment or some post that they've done that connects it. So hopefully that helps you. Jerry, thank you so much for asking that question. So now many of you may be sharing, well, listen, Kevin, I've heard you talk about social selling. I've heard you share about the return on investment between traditional cold calling and leveraging LinkedIn and leveraging social selling. And I've seen the stat as obviously is much more efficient to either leverage a mutual connection to get to a prospective buyer. And also, I've heard you talk about the power of a personal introduction of someone you know to get an appointment. So now the question that many of you are asking is, well, where do I begin? Like, how do I get started? And so let's get into that today. So the first thing that you will want to do is to first understand who is your target audience for prospecting. And what that means is that, you know, whether you are in hotel sales, selling hardware, your IT, your consulting, and maybe all the various industries that you've posted in the chat box, you also have to ask yourself, so who is the target audience for your services? Is it the CEO? Is it the president? Is it the CFO, Chief Financial Officer? Is it a CHRO, which is the Chief Human Resource Officer? Is it a VP Operations? We all have to determine who is the target audience for who we're trying to get in front of to talk about our services. So that's the first step that you want to be able to jot down for that. The second step, and some of you in your chat box, I'd love to hear you share who's your target audience for your particular business. Put that in the chat box. We'd love to hear who you're targeting. And not only who's your target audience, but what about the size of the company? So are you targeting CFOs with companies from 100 to 500 employees? Is it 1,000 employees and up? Are you looking for the president or the owner for companies with 100 employees and below? That's the very first point that you want to try to find out. It's who is getting clarity on your target audience. The next step you want to do in step 2 is you now want to identify some key COIs. COIs meaning centers of influence. I always like to make sure that I spell out acronyms because I want to always make sure that the audience, some people are very familiar with some of the language of social selling and some are not. So I want to make sure that I really speak to all of you and balance out this presentation. So identify key COIs, centers of influence. Somebody may say, well, what's the centers of influence? That is someone that you know that has an influence to be able to connect you with somebody in your target audience. Someone that can make an introduction for you. So centers of influence, it can be anyone. It can be a client. It can be another business professional that you know. But a center of influence is someone, is a COI, is someone that you know who has access and they have connections and they are connected and they interact with people in your target audience. You want to be able to leverage that COI to get you in front of your prospective buyer. So for this particular presentation today, I wanted to just bring up one of my COIs, one of my centers of influence, as you can see here on the screen, with John Berdanovich. So John is the owner of a company. He also is a friend, is someone that I have a relationship with, and he's someone that is connected to other business owners. So for me, my target audience is typically business owners with companies less than 100 employees. So for my own business, that's who my target audience is. So I want to identify centers of influence, COIs on LinkedIn that I'm connected to, where I feel that they have access to those type of targets. So that's what a COI is. So John is someone that I identify on LinkedIn. And then after you do that, and maybe what you want to do is maybe write down, maybe start with like your top 5 or 10. Your top 5 or 10 COIs on LinkedIn that you're connected to. So that's the first step. Third step is now what you want to be able to do is you can click on their connections. So as I go back to step 2, you see this arrow is pointing to connections. So when you are on LinkedIn and when you bring up and someone that you're connected to, a COI, then you will be able to see their connections. You can see where the arrow is at. It says see connections. Most of the time that's a hyperlink, and you can click on that. So that way you can see all the people that your COI are connected to. These are people that he or she have a connection on LinkedIn. So you want to click on that link for that COI. And once you click on that link for the COI, it's going to take you to all of their connections. So, and then it's list. So you can see here, it says 997 results. So what that means is that my COI is connected to 997 people on LinkedIn. Now, what you want to do after you click on their connections, so again, after you click on their connections on LinkedIn, you click on all filters. And then when you click on all filters, you now want to filter for your target audience. So for me, since my target audience are presidents, so I'm going to now filter on that particular COI. And when you click on filter, it opens up this page where it asks you to checkbox into the area where you want to search for those connections. So for me, I put Cleveland and Akron, Ohio, because I want to look at that COI. I want to look at their connections in the Cleveland, Akron area. But if you sell services in another state and you have a COI in New York or Indiana or wherever it may be, then you can also type in that particular city or state. But for me, to keep it simple, I check Cleveland or Akron, Ohio, because I want to look at all of my COI connections in that geographic region. And then I also want to click in and type in president. So when you click on all filters, it's going to take you to these next screens. And what you want to do is, again, click on your geographic area where you want to find your prospects, and you want to type in the title, whether it's president, whether it's CFO or chief financial officer. And then what that does here in step 5, you can then make a list of all of those presidents or chief CFOs that you would find under that COI. So that's the power of that. Once you click on your geographic area and then you type in the title of the people that you want to look at, in essence, what you're doing is for that COI, you're looking at all of the target audience that you want to reach under their name. And then you're going to click apply. And then it's going to bring you a list of all of the presidents or all of the chief financial officers, of all of the HR directors, whatever your target is. It's going to return to you a list of those targets that are connected to that COI, which is awesome.
And Kevin, I know you've taught me, sometimes you got to do that search multiple times, right? Because we have 2 groups of people right now, the attendees who are, there's one group that is really looking like you, kind of the C-suite area, the chief information officers, another one chief marketing communication officer, also chief learning officer, those type of people. So maybe you want to search on those. You've taught me like just those acronyms too. So, chief financial officer, CFO, CIO, COO, those types of things. And then we have another group here who are really looking more operationally. So they're targeting, maybe leaders of particular operational areas, say engineering departments, procurement, and things like that. So they're going to want to search on some other types of titles, right?
Absolutely. What you want to do is that, and Jerry is so correct, is that you want to search on the title that you are looking to reach. That's the key thing that you want to take away from this, is that is that when you click on the connections of your COI, and then you click on all filters, you want to be able to type in whichever contact that you're trying to reach in your own context, whatever that may be. Because and then when what you're doing, you're filtering. You're saying, hey, my COI may be connected to 1,000 people, but I only want to see the people that they're connected to that's aligned and specific to my target audience. And that's what I did here. I don't want to look at all of the 997 connections under John. I only want to look at the presidents in Northeast Ohio that he's connected to. And then once I do that, it obviously is going to return a much shorter list. And then once I make that list, I want to then keep track of it. And typically what I do, I'll populate like a spreadsheet, like Excel or whatever you may be. I'll populate a list of all of those potential targets on a spreadsheet under that COI. And I'll tell you why a little bit later in the presentation as to why you want to do that, because it gives you an opportunity to share that list with your COI to see if they can help you get in front of them. So as you can see here, so I have an Excel list of my COI, and one of the presidents, retired President Bob Peterson, one of the presidents that let's say I want to meet will be Bob Peterson. Here's the company name. So the goal is that what you're going to do is that you're going to then just type out, maybe 15 or 20. And I typically advise people when you search and filter, if it returns back to you, 50 or 80 people in your specific target, you don't want to type in all 80 or 100 in the spreadsheet. Just pick like maybe 15 or 20 targets under that COI that you may want to try to meet. That way you keep the list small, but then you want to type it on a sheet. So you want to create that. And as you can see here, it's once you put in whatever target audience, once you type in that title and say, well, there's president or chief learning officer, whatever that may be, it's going to return back to you people with that title that's connected to your COI. So as you can see here, once I did that, it brought to me a smaller search of presidents that my COI was connected to. And that's the key thing. Now, this is how you're leveraging social selling. This is how you're leveraging LinkedIn. This is one of the most powerful ways to leverage LinkedIn. It's not just to update your profile, but how can I find and locate targets, prospective buyers on LinkedIn that's connected to my COIs, that are connected to people that I have a relationship with. That is the essence of social selling. Why reach out to a prospective buyer cold when maybe I can reach out to them by leveraging one of my COIs? That is one of the biggest value advantage of LinkedIn. So now you can see it'll come up, and then what you'll see is that you're saying, all right, Kevin, I identify about 5 or 10 COIs. I understand that. I was able to identify some centers of influence, some people that I have relationships with on LinkedIn that I feel are connected to a lot of people. So I understand that. I did that. I was able to key in and do a filter, and I've written down maybe 10 or 15 or 20 prospective buyers, target contacts underneath that COI. All right, Kevin, I have my list. Now what? Now you want to reach out to that center of influence, that COI, for approval. And let me just walk you through that. Some verbiage, some messaging, and I'll keep this on the screen for a minute. Maybe you want to take a snapshot with your cell phone and take a picture of some of this messaging and that way you can have your own script. But now I want to send an email to that COI, and it would just go something like this in my email. Hey, John, as part of my role at Keelan, I'm looking to leverage my network for mutually beneficial ways to maximize our relationships. And having said that, I saw in your LinkedIn a number of target contacts that I wanted to reach out to for a meeting to understand their business and to share our services. Are you comfortable if I use your name as a mutual connection in trying to meet with them? Or would you prefer to review the attached list in person over coffee and share your thoughts? So what you're doing here is that list that I shared with you, that Excel sheet or whatever that may be, whatever document you want to then write out those target contacts underneath that COI, you now want to share that with the COI and to say, hey, these are 15 or 20 people or 10 to 15 people that are connected to you that I'd love to meet. Can I use your name as a mutual connection to meet with them? Now, you see where it says in person or over coffee. Given the environment that we're in, they may not want to meet in person, or you can always do it through Zoom or WebEx or GoToMeeting. You can always just send them the list and just do it over the phone and review the names. So that's the first way is to use. And you may say, well, Kevin, how do you use their name as a mutual connection? Well, now you can see here in the second script. Now I want to send an email to that target prospect to gain an appointment, right? That's the ROI. You remember, that's the 20% conversion rate that we talked about. Because now I want to leverage that COI name with the prospect to gain an appointment. And here's what it sounds like. Hey, Bob, my name is Kevin Hudson. We have a mutual connection with John Bernanovich. Through my relationship with John, he'll agree to allow me to use our mutual connection with him as an opportunity for me to reach out to you. Are you available for an initial meeting for me to better understand your goals and for me to share how we help organizations similar to yours? You see that? That is a mutual connection. I don't know Bob, but John does. And I know John. So the goal is that how can I use John? So what does this look like? In the subject line of your email, you want to put mutual connection dash and whatever your COI name is. So if I was going to reach out to Bob, I'm going to put in the subject mutual connection dash John Bernanovich. Why? Because it makes it less cold. If Bob then sees that email and he sees the subject line, mutual connection John, he's more apt to at least open the email. He may not grant me an appointment, but he's more apt to open the email because now he's seeing something is familiar. It feels a bit more warmer. It's not as cold. And if Bob has a decent relationship with John, right, he's going to open that email like, who is this from? That's why the appointment rate is higher than cold, because now Bob's like, oh, okay, I like John. Okay, Kevin knows John. Maybe I give him 20 minutes just because of that. So what this means is that you will increase your conversion rate of getting an appointment by doing that. So that's a mutual connection. The other one is called a personal introduction. And where you see a personal introduction, it would be if John said, hey, I'm going to reach out to Bob for you. Oh, that will be powerful. So now I'm using my COI to send me a personal introduction. And if you remember doing the return on investment, that was a 50% conversion rate. Those are very high. So that would be like John sending the email to Bob saying, hello, Bob, I'd like to introduce you to Kevin Hudson, a friend and business associate. And then he goes on to introduce who I am. Right now, Bob gets an email from someone that he has a relationship with introducing me. Right? How many of us wouldn't give someone 15 or 20 minutes if someone that we knew and had a good relationship with sent us an email introducing someone, right, we would be more apt to give that person 15 minutes or 20 minutes just because of that. That is the power of social selling. That is a way that you can increase your appointments, because all of us, no matter which field in sales we're in, it all starts with a meeting. We've got to get in front of them to learn about their business and their goals and how our services can help them achieve their goals and objectives. But it all starts with the meeting. This social selling, and by leveraging your COIs and LinkedIn, as you can see with these scripts, it allows you to get in front of more people. It increases your rate, your conversion rate of getting an appointment by finding your COIs on LinkedIn, looking in their connections for targets that you would like to meet, and then reviewing that target list with them. And then there may be some contacts that they may say, hey, I don't know that person as well, but you can definitely use my name, right? Go ahead and use my name as a mutual connection. There may be some target contacts that you find under their name. They may say, oh, I know that person very well. Let me just reach out to them for you. In either case, it's better than cold calling. It's better than cold emailing, right? It increases your chance. So feel free to reach out in the chat box if you have any questions. So now I know we have about 12 minutes left, and we're nearing the end of our presentation. But the goal of doing all of that is that you secure an appointment. You have now leveraged social selling, LinkedIn, to get an appointment. If I would have reached out to Bob without a mutual connection, without a personal introduction, the stats say I would have had a 1 to 3% chance of getting that meeting with Bob. But by leveraging a mutual connection, by leveraging a personal introduction, I got in front of Bob. I was able to understand Bob's goals and objectives, and I was able to share. And now you're able to see that there was a connection. So you want to get an appointment, and the goal of all of us is that we want to be able to secure a new business relationship. Why this story is so powerful for me? Because this is exactly how I started my business partnership with Corporate College. It was through a mutual connection. I was able to get in front of the retired president of Corporate College through a mutual connection. And once I was able to understand their goals and share about our services, I secured an appointment, and now I'm here today because of that mutual connection. That is the power of social selling. So now, as we get ready to end the presentation, you may say, well, you can rinse and repeat. You can do this with your clients. So not only can you do this with COIs, but watch this. What if you took your list of clients? Some of you may have 5 clients. You may only have 3 clients. You may have 10 clients. Some of you may have 20 clients. Well, if your clients are happy with your service, why wouldn't they want to refer you? Why wouldn't they want to be a mutual connection for you? Why wouldn't they personally introduce you to a prospect? So now what you would do is that you would now take a list of your clients, and you will go on LinkedIn and connect with them. So let's say, for instance, that Jerry is a client of mine. And now I want to leverage social selling with my client. So now I'm going to go on Jerry's LinkedIn, and I'm going to filter in Cleveland and Akron. And I'm going to type in, well, how many owners or presidents Does Jerry know? Right? Jerry's a client, but let me see how many owners and presidents or whichever target audience is yours. You now want to search under your clients to see how many people they're connected to your target audience. And then I'm going to make a list of 10 or 15 owners or presidents, or again, you would use whatever your target is. And then I'm going to schedule a call or Zoom or a WebEx call or GoToMeeting, whatever, with Jerry and say, and I'll do the exact same thing, right? No, hey, Jerry, I was going through, I was wanting to leverage my network, and I saw some target contacts that I wanted to reach out to, and I'm going to do the same thing with Jerry with my clients. And if they're happy, at a minimum, they'll say, hey, use my name as a mutual connection, right? Or they may say, hey, I know that target contact. I'm going to reach out to them for you. How powerful would that be? Right now, you're setting appointments, and now you're able to increase your appointment rate from your COI. So there's two lanes. You'll have COIs, centers of influence, that you can leverage that are not clients. Maybe they're business professionals. Maybe they're old college buddies. Maybe they're your insurance broker. Whomever they may be, make a list of 5 to 10 people who could be good COIs, but also look at all your clients. Because, man, a happy client will be happy to be a COI for you. And now you can rinse and repeat and use the exact same process. I just did this recently. I had a call with one of my clients, and I went on his LinkedIn, and I found about 15 other targets that I wanted to meet that was connected to him. And he sent some introductions on my behalf, and I got appointments, and I got a couple clients from that. This is the power of leveraging social selling. So as we get ready to bring this to a close, some of the things that you want to do, some of you may be saying, well, Kevin, I'm not on LinkedIn as much. I don't have a lot of connections. So where do I start? Well, the first thing you want to do is to update your LinkedIn profile. So add a profile picture, your name, whatever your professional headline is, marketing manager or whatever it may be. Go ahead and enter your contact information, and then enter your work experience. LinkedIn is very intuitive. It'll walk you through how to do that. But the first thing you want to do is update your profile. So there's sometimes that you'll go on LinkedIn, and some of you may say, I haven't updated my LinkedIn profile in 10 years. So you want to update it so people know what are you doing and what you're currently involved in. So first of all, do that so people can see you. And then secondly, what you want to do is just start connecting with others. And how you do that, when you're in LinkedIn, you can just search, and you can just start searching people's names that you know, and then you want to just connect with them. You will see a connect button, and you want to just connect. And when you click connect, you can even add a little note. Hey, met you at a conference. Oh, we went to school together. Or it can be someone you know, but you're not connected. Because for you to look at target prospects underneath your connections or your COIs, you have to be connected to them on LinkedIn. So send them a connection, and then they'll accept. And then after you do that, then once you all become connected, now it'll give you an opportunity to look in their connections, do the filter, and come up with a list. Also, post blogs and articles. And you can Google this. You can Google how to post a blog, how to post an article on LinkedIn. But it helps you to become a thought leader. So if you are in consulting or hotel sales or IT sales or whatever it may be, you can start to post blogs and articles that's specific to your business. And that will help people. And as that goes out to your network, then people start to see you as an expert, as a thought leader in your space. And that's a way to kind of expand your profile. And then also, I'll tell you, try to meet one COI per week, one center of influence per week. What does that mean? Schedule a Zoom call. And I do this today. I do a Zoom call once a week with a COI. And that 20, 30-minute call, I'm just reconnecting with them, seeing how they're navigating COVID, how's it impacting their business, how they're doing personally. I learn more about their services and their company, and I tell them about my company and what I do. It's that simple. And you start to just build your network. One a week. It may be a COI that you haven't connected to in a long time. It may be a COI that you know. But try to have a goal of one a week, and that's how you build your network. And then you do this for 6 months or a year. Next thing you know, right? You built yourself a pretty nice list of COIs that you can leverage. As I summarize, hopefully during this presentation, you got a bit better understanding of social selling. You've got some tips on building your network. You saw how you can leverage your network to build a target list and to find buyers. Hopefully you saw how you can help others grow their business and grow yours. Hopefully you saw the importance of having a presence on LinkedIn. Hopefully you saw how you can become a thought leader. Hopefully you saw how you can increase referrals. Hopefully you saw how you can become more efficient at growing your business and not just cold calling. Hopefully you saw how you can shorten the sales cycle by leveraging the mutual connection. As you can see here where it says social selling works, 10% of executives respond to cold calls or unsolicited emails. And then you see where it says 84% will engage with a salesperson when they are connected through a friend or colleague and other value. Social selling works. Leveraging LinkedIn and COI relationships, man, it saves you time on that return on investment. It increases your efficiency with securing appointments. It provides a warm lead into a target prospect. It builds your pipeline, and most of all, it helps you to maximize your results. Listen, I'm so happy. I'm so thankful that you took an hour out of your day to spend with myself, to spend with a great team at Corporate College. Listen, please reach out to them for any training, learning, or development needs that you have for your employees, for your staff, for your leadership team, for whatever that you may have. Reach out to them. They are fantastic. They have a great bench of facilitators, great content to really help companies strengthen their talent management, grow your professional development, and to help you continue to add value to your organization. Listen, thanks so much for your time. Jerry, thank you so much for setting this up, and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we just have time for maybe one quick question here.
Sure.
Somebody was asking, do you recommend accepting a connection with a person you do not know in any capacity? I know you and I've both gotten those. What's your take on that, Kevin?
That's a great question. So my answer for me, and I can't make this global for everyone, but I do not accept connections for people I do not know. And for me, I want my LinkedIn to truly be people that I'm connected to. And if for some reason I met someone at a conference and they connect with me, I typically will maybe send them some type of message and have a call with them first before I just start connecting with everyone. A lot of times people see LinkedIn is filled with people that they have no idea who it was. So one way to manage your LinkedIn is to maybe try to have your LinkedIn be really people that you have a connection with. But that's for me. So I would be leery and I would be careful. And lastly, because sometimes some people will try to become connected to you, so they can look into all the people that you're connected to from a competitive perspective, and potentially try to steal clients. So you want to be careful who you're connecting to on LinkedIn.
Great advice. Now everybody can see why we're so proud to have Kevin as part of our team. And on behalf of all of Corporate College, Kevin, we thank you so much for your time this morning and all this fantastic information that I can vouch for myself truly gets results. So, and Kevin's right. Not only is he the master of relationships, but you can see that we just touched on the tip of the iceberg. And Corporate College has, these sales programs that dive deeper into not only this topic with Kevin, but really build upon that too, with coaching services and other sales pipeline management. Right, Kevin?
Absolutely. You guys have a wealth of information, a wealth of content to be able to provide for companies who are looking to do that.
Great. And so I just want to say to everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us today. Just remember, Corporate College is truly here to serve you with essential learning to really overcome these challenges you may be facing right now. And we offer our programs in now also a virtual classroom training format, as well as the traditional self-paced online program. And you can tell by our phenomenal talent bench here, our subject matter experts, that combined we can provide your organization consultation services, training, and coaching. So please go out and visit our Corporate College website. Take a look at our virtual classroom learnings, ranging anything from sales, frontline leadership, Lean Six Sigma, even all the way to our patient access specialist programs. And Kevin, we've recorded you today, so people can take a look at your presentation again by visiting our Corporate College free webinar series page in the next couple of days. And they'll also be able to click on a link to download the presentation PDF copy. So we appreciate you, and we'd ask everybody continue to stay up to date with everything what we're doing here at Corporate College by following us on social media. Thank you so much, and everyone stay safe, healthy, and ready to take on the challenges ahead. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.